There is a sheriff in each county and in Baltimore City, which means there's 24 elected sheriffs throughout the state of Maryland. And in each county, they have a little bit different responsibilities and duties. Here in Montgomery County, we are the enforcement arm of the court. So, for example, the Montgomery County Police will make some sort of arrest, and once it gets into the court system after the county police have done the investigations, then it becomes the sheriff's responsibility as the enforcement arm of the courts.
Sheriff 84, Warrant Service. Deputy Stratton with the Sheriff's Office, looking for...
So, you know, whether it's something domestic related.
Just to explain to him what the warrant is.
Whether it's the transportation of inmates, whether it's the service of civil papers to citizens here in the county, any type of court documents that are issued out of the court would then be the sheriff's responsibility. And I think ultimately one of our main objectives is to keep people safe in this county, to feel safe in your residence, to feel safe on the roads and feel safe in the county is really one of our main objectives. I've been living in Montgomery County my entire life. Went to Aspinall Elementary School, went to Wood Middle School. It was a junior high school certainly when I went, but it's now a middle school. And then I went to Perry High School. I graduated in 1980. When I graduated from Perry High School, I went on to the University of Maryland out in College Park. When I was done there in 1984, you know, I moved to Olney, and then shortly after that I started working with the Sheriff's Office in early 1985. My wife, who is Suzanne, and she started as a Montgomery County police officer, and actually that's where I met her. We had a mutual friend when she was in the police academy, and he introduced me to Suzanne, and you know, we ended up hitting it off, and you know, we've been married since 1988. She's been very supportive of me over the years. That's Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade.
No, but that's too.
And you know, I try not to bring too much of the daily grind home, but you know, there's often times that, you know, I'll you know, come home and I'll explain to her different things that I've been involved in, and you know, she has a you know, very interesting perspective on those things, and I think it's because of her background. Any pictures of you on the basketball court? She grew up locally and lived in Montgomery County and went to Springbrook High School. So you know, she's got a very good working knowledge of the community and police work and law enforcement as well. When I first came on 26 years ago, Sheriff Kight was the chief deputy here at the Sheriff's Office. Not too much longer, about a year afterward, Sheriff Kight became sheriff back in 1986. And so predominantly for the years I've been in the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Kight was the sheriff here in Montgomery County. So he's 75 years old.
Yes. And I was the one that hired Darren at that time. We had to do background investigations, and he came out favorably on top, and he was one of the best deputies I've ever had in this office.
Freedom of information. It was his way of doing things, the way that he had to get things across to not only to the employees, or whether it was the county council or a citizens group or whatever. That's the things that only comes from experience. And so having that interaction with him day in and day out, traveling with him, investigating different cases with him, getting to know what he was going to answer before he even told me, that is how really that he mentored me, because it got to a point really that I knew, you know, the direction he would want to take something. In 2008, Sheriff Kight came to me, and you know, we were together a lot, and he told me that this was going to be his last term, that he was ready to retire, and that he hoped that I would make a decision to run.
And when I decided to step down after 6 four-year terms as sheriff and my age of 70 years almost, I knew he was the right man for the job.
So, you know, I came home, and we had discussions with, my wife certainly, because it is a tremendous commitment, but the timing was right, and I thought my experience was right. And so I set out, with my families also going along with the ride with me, because it was a lot of work to get to this point.
We had to put together 2,000 signs, and the 4 of us went out periodically for 6 weeks from 9 o'clock till midnight, basically 6 weeks straight, and put up signs from here to the DC line, to the Frederick County line, to Howard County line, all over Montgomery County, and kept putting up signs until the election day.
The day of the election, initially the primary here in Montgomery County, we had a gathering at a restaurant in Rockville, and fortunately they were able to bring in the live feeds for the election results, and I was in the lead after the early voting. But I never had a comfort level, for me personally, just the way I am. I wanted to see that very last precinct and the very last vote count, and then after that, then I finally felt comfortable. It wasn't until Sheriff Kight actually left, which was several months later at the end of November, and I walked through the door here on December 1st, and that I was the sheriff. It was just, even though I knew it was coming, actually saying goodbye to him, and then the next day being in his chair was kind of emotional. It really was. It was, all these years that I sat on the opposite side of the table with Sheriff Kight, now I was going to be sitting in his chair. From DJS here. It was still a little surreal actually being the person sitting in that chair, and then having other people sitting on the opposite side of that table asking me those questions.
One time I wrote back.
I would say in this line of work that there is no typical day. I mean, I do have long days. I do get in early in the morning. Many times I have different community events that I go to at night. So, it is long days, but every day is really a unique, different day. Was it busy today at all? It's really filled with very interesting, different stories that you wouldn't believe half of the things that I would tell you that I've experienced and that I hear on a daily basis. But we also, you're not going to read about it in the paper every single day. It's an awful lot of silent service that we provide to the residents here in Montgomery County. My family is very important to me when I'm, not involved with work-related activities. I'm here with my family and going to my son's games. My son is very involved with different sports teams.
Nice, yeah, good turn.
As I learned from my parents that hard work and commitment and family is really one of the most best values that you can possibly have. I have 3 children. This is actually the first year that I am not involved with coaching responsibilities, whether it be softball, baseball, basketball. I've been doing it for a very, very long time, and I've loved it. I love working with the kids. My oldest daughter was very involved with singing and dancing and shows, and my wife and I became involved in that as much as possible. Unless she wants to be in contempt, she's going to have to turn over those kids. There's still times that unfortunately I feel badly that I have to miss things periodically, but being in law enforcement, you just can't get to everything. Sure, it was 3-0. Yeah, they're winning, so yeah, they're playing good. But I try to make it to everything I possibly can for them, and it's still as important as it was 10 years ago to go out and watch them play. The winning and the losing don't really make as much of a difference. It's just really being part of their life that's the important part. All the public safety agencies are so intertwined, and the relationships are just so important. And over the years, we've had situations like the snipers here for anybody who was living in Montgomery County at that time, and in the general Washington, Baltimore, Northern Virginia area, it was just an absolute terrible time. And you know, after the investigation, Sheriff's Office was responsible for not only getting them to court every day, but we were responsible for getting them from Mr. Malbo from Southwest Virginia and Mr. Muhammad from down south of Richmond. And you know, it took an incredible amount of planning, not only with the Sheriff's Office but other law enforcement agencies, to make sure that they were safe here and prepared for their trial. In public safety, we have to draw a balance and make sure that even the worst people are provided, you know, and treated with respect. So to make sure and do that every single day for almost a year, and they weren't exactly the easiest people to deal with. And that was a very difficult, very busy time for us. And but you know, as everything went, it went well, and fortunately the right verdicts were held up in every one of those cases. Sports has always been a big part of my life, whether watching it, playing it, coaching it. You know, I've been very involved all my life. When I was young, all I needed was a ball in my hand, and I was perfectly content all day long. I played soccer and basketball, and I did play competitively in high school. I still play basketball. I've been playing on a team for a number of years, a men's team, and although we're slowing down a little bit, you know, I still during basketball season get up early every Sunday morning. You know, every time I have an opportunity to exercise and keep my head clear, I do that as well. So, you know, I try to stay physically fit as well, and that's important to me, very important. I think it, you know, it keeps me balanced in my own life. My own personal philosophy is that you've got to have humor in your life, and you've got to laugh every day. Because unfortunately, in this line of work and in a lot of things to do with public safety, there are not a lot of good stories. So, you know, when you're doing your actual work and to have to evict somebody and put a you know, a baby stroller out on the street is just, for the deputies who do that kind of work, is just so difficult for them to do things like that. That's why we do so many proactive things to try to, in advance, to try to make sure that doesn't happen. But unfortunately, sometimes it does. And there's just not a lot of good stories of, especially in domestic violence. I mean, you're not going to hear anything good about somebody being abused. So, you know, but at some point during the day, because you're dealing with good people, you're helping people. You know, at some point during the day, you know, you got to smile and you've got to laugh and you've got to have some humor in your life away from what we do, because it's just so important, because the stories are very difficult to hear. I'm proud to be serving the residents of this county because I am a lifelong resident here. My family is from this area. I grew up in this area. I went to school in this area, high school 5 minutes from here. I went to college here locally at the University of Maryland. I came back, I settled in Olney, Maryland. So what do you got the rest of the day, Zig?
Playing.
And I've chosen to raise my children here, and they go to public school. And I am just so pleased that I can be part of a county government that really provides so many services and really makes Montgomery County just a fantastic place to live.